Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Rowe.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Present.
Councilman Racy.
Here.
Councilman Porter.
Present.
Councilman Sanders.
Present.
Councilman Gabriel.
Present.
Councilman Webster.
Here.
Right. Mayor, you do have a quorum with all 7 members present.
Thank you.
The first item is item 1, the approval of the agenda.
Gentlemen, if I could just ask that we remove item 7B, which is in regards to the special meeting to discuss the police department on April the 17th. Instead, we're going to do a special study session which would incorporate the police budget on the 12th of April at 7 p.m. That'll give us a good at least 2 hours to discuss the various items on the upcoming budget with focus on the police. Okay.
So we're just going to do the police separate though, right?
Yes, it'll be, yeah, okay.
I'm just going to, I don't know if we have discussion yet, but that date won't work for me.
Thursday night?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
We need to make a motion.
We do need to make a motion.
Yeah.
I move to approve.
To amend, yeah.
To amend. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And opposed?
Yeah.
You opposed? Yeah, okay. And if you could just show that Councilman Gabriel states he cannot be there.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item is item 2, City Council minutes. Item 2A is a special meeting of March 20th.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Webster. Any discussion? Corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 2B are the regular meeting minutes of March 20th.
Move approval. Support.
Was moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Racy. Is there any corrections?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Generally, when we have a resolution and what have you, we don't have it as part of the agenda, and we have, or part of the minutes. But however, the list is that typical? Is that normal?
It is required as part because we're going to be placing a special assessment. And so at the meeting, the next meeting we have will be then reducing that resolution by the people that have paid.
Thank you.
We do have to do that. We also had to publish it in the paper too.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 3 is presentations. Item 3A is the 2017 Police Officer of the Year, Nicholas Baruda. Yes. Also, there are a number of dignitaries here this evening. The mayor has had us prepare a resolution for you, Nick. If you'd like to come up and stand next to her, and I'll read the City of Wayne resolution for her. This is, whereas Officer Nicholas Baruda has been given special recognition by being named Police Officer of the Year for 2017, and whereas Officer Baruda has earned this honor by displaying behavior that exemplifies the core values of the Wayne Police Department, he has been a consummate professional who operates with integrity, dedication, a strong work ethic, and diligence while maintaining fairness, respect, and compassion for the community he serves. Whereas Officer Baruda was hired as a police officer by the City of Wayne in February of 2013, and whereas Officer Baruda was assigned to the Road Patrol, where he is the senior officer who demonstrates great leadership, he is highly motivated and works hard without complaint. He is a respected member of the department and is looked up to by his peers and supervisors. And whereas Officer Baruda has a true passion for law enforcement, he leads by example and is a model officer for all to follow. He is committed to combating crime, and making the community a better place to live. And whereas in April of 2017, Wayne officers responded to a home invasion felonious assault. When the officers arrived, the victim in this case was armed and did not immediately respond to the request of officers to drop the weapon. As the yes, as the senior patrol officer on duty at the scene, Officer Baruta guided younger officers who were also on the scene, and the incident was resolved safely and the suspect was arrested. Officer Baruta's experience and leadership was instrumental in this case. And whereas Officer Baruta was a key factor in the arrests of multiple subjects for various felony cases in 2017, which included receiving and concealing stolen property, assault with dangerous weapon, felony firearm, and first-degree home invasion. Officer Baruta's tenacity and work ethic produced a performance that exemplifies how all officers of the Wayne Police Department should present themselves. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Susan M. Rowe, on behalf of the Wayne City Council and the citizens of Wayne, do hereby commend and congratulate Officer Nicholas Baruta on being given special recognition for true professionalism and dedication to the community by being named the Police Officer of the Year for 2017. Then what we'll do is we'll present all of the others, and then we'll do the final pictures at the end. Is that okay? All right. Okay. Thank you. So, right. So then the next that we have is State Representative Robert Kozowski. He has a resolution, a special tribute from himself and Patrick Kolbeck.
Congratulations. Thank you. Well job. So this is a tribute. Sorry, the state's a little cheap. We don't have plaques on this side. But Lieutenant Governor, Senator Patrick Kolbeck and I signed this to you. What a great honor. You know, it's men and women in blue. They just do a great job. And actually, you make me feel real old. I just want you to know that. Congratulations. All right.
Yep, picture with Bob.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
And then the next our Wayne County Commissioner Abdul Haddis. Al's here to give a special recognition to you too, Nicholas.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's a great honor to be here, especially to honor the person who really keep our community safe. The most important thing in the community is, as you know, it's safe and clean community, and those who really work to make sure that would be implemented in the city of Wayne deserve to be honored, especially the individual who come out sometime in a certain difficult circumstances, and they show the ability and the courage to perform their duty. So I'm honored here to present you with a resolution on behalf of Wayne County. It's in short to tell you thank you and job well done. That show, this frame here show the county have in better shape than the state.
Wait till next time. Wait till next time.
Thank you. And then last but not least, Police Chief Al Masiag does have a plaque also to give to you.
Thank you. I just want to say a couple quick words real quick. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. It's my privilege tonight to to present Officer Nicholas Baruta with the 2017 Police Officer of the Year. As you heard earlier, Officer Baruta started with the department in 2013. You know, and obviously we heard this great work he done in 2017. But you know, he is a trusted member of the department and represents everything I look for in an officer. He's hardworking, professional, respectful, and operates with integrity. He's not only an asset to the department and the Wayne Police Department, but also an asset to the profession. I'm extremely proud that he's a member of our team. I'd like to congratulate Officer Baruta for receiving the 2017 Police Officer of the Year. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations. Then would you like to have the officers that are here to come with you with the police chief? We'll take one picture with everyone. You may have to do, yes.
I was going to say, we have to say this.
We may need two, actually, maybe 2 rows.
Well, that's a.
We're at the safest building in town.
2 rows. Everyone step forward. Right, even it up.
They can't see you.
Steve, you want to go around this side?
Good job.
I think so. We'll get everyone in. Okay. All right.
Try not to get a plaque in there.
Okay. All right, then, would you like your family members to come up here? All right, thank you.
Oh, your suit back from here.
And before we take the picture, would you like to do some introductions? So we know who we're getting.
My sister Jess, my wife Mandy, my mom Robin, my dad Mark, and my brother Zach.
All right, very nice.
That's pretty stunning.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
almost time for an upgrade, isn't it? Your son. Oh, your husband. Sergeant, how much money do you want? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So for last time, what, that's 250,000?
Congratulations and thank you. We understand the really very hard times that you are all doing your job under, and we really do appreciate it. Each and every one of us that live in this city do appreciate all that you do for us every single day of the week. And just God bless you. Thank you. Okay. And if either Representative Kozowski or Commissioner Haddis wish to say anything.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. So I just have a quick update on the road situation. Everybody knows how bad the roads are. You know, it's one of the things on my car, I've already replaced 5 tires and 4 rims, so I have firsthand knowledge of this. So, you know, the new bill that's coming in effect will bring Wayne $107,000. The state allocated $175 million to all the cities and townships and villages. Now, obviously, that is just a Band-Aid effect. I am glad it's something, though. When you look and it costs $1 million for a mile of road, I mean, we're going to get 1/10 of a road. So it's really going to be a fix, but at least it's something. And then right now, everything else is going to be implemented that was passed last year. if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about schools really quick. You know, one of the things when I went to Lansing, I wanted to always try and get our school district more money. I just thought that someone that lives in Birmingham should not be getting $1,000 more every student than Wayne Westland kids. So being the ranking Democrat on education, I've really worked on this very hard. Unfortunately, we're not going to close that gap just yet, but the current plan, which is supposed to come out next week, is going to give $120 to $240 more per pupil, and Wayne Westland would receive the $240, which is really good. So it'd chop that up a little bit. But secondly, after they told me this, I went and introduced a bill. So right now it's a 2x formula, and that's why it's 120, 240. I actually put in a bill that's a 3x, so it'd be 120, 360. So Wayne Westland would get 360. I don't know if we're going to get a hearing on it, but it's just something that shows that I'm always trying to get money for our kids. The other thing I worked on very hard is the career tech education. I think not every kid's going to go to college, and we have one of the best in the state. I've done a lot of tours. I brought a lot of other reps here and senators, and one of the things that is happening this year is really good. It's not a grant process. Every kid that is enrolled in a CTE class will most likely get $50. There are some classes or classifications that will only be $25. But if you look at it that way, our kids are almost getting $300 more if they're in CTE and, you know, with the FTE. So it's really good. Talking about schools, you know, cyber schools are one of the biggest things that I don't like, and I like to say that because they get the same funding that public schools do. And I don't believe that's right. They have no brick and mortar, they have no buses, they have nothing. It's one of the battles that I've definitely lost. I cannot win that battle. The governor actually did the right thing. He put the funding in at 75% of what the FTEs are. And I thought that was really good. Well, it's my understanding that the chairman, who I serve with, is going to put it back up to 100%. So that's one of the things that I always thought it shouldn't be the same. But in regards to that, though, we have no bills out there for school safety. None. I have no idea why we haven't addressed this. So I took it upon myself. We've introduced about 8 or 9 bills to address school safety so that parents don't look at sending their kids to cyber. I mean, in today's world, I don't blame parents for maybe looking at that. But hopefully if they address some of these bills, it puts retired police, fire, veterans in our schools. A lot of people ask me, what do I think about arming our teachers? And I can tell you right now, I don't agree with that 100%. There would have to be massive training. I have a lot of bills that have state police doing drills with their schools. Right now, every school's on their own. We also have Open Meetings Act stuff. We just have a lot of bills out there, and I'm really proud, and I hope that they can take some of them up. Now for some bad news. State shared revenue. This is my 6th year that I've been here. It's gone by like that. I really thought I was naive when I walked up to this podium the first time and said, I'm going to bring back state shared revenue. Well, the parties haven't changed, so there's no way that we're going to get it. I work with Michigan Municipal League a lot, and we are trying. We're still going to try for it this year to get some kind of a boost, because as I said from that first time I came here, the common denominator is a lot of these cities are in trouble because we're not given enough funding. And I know everybody on this council knows about it, but for the last 7 or 8 years, we've taken away $8 billion from locals. And I just think that's something that we should just re-give them the money. We're all doing it on Band-Aids. Other than that, you know, I will say this, I could get in trouble, but I am running for the Senate. Unfortunately, it's not for this Senate seat. Wayne and Westland are not together, and I just appreciate everything that you guys have done for me, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, after.
Mayor, City Council, City Manager, the citizen of Wayne. I know the most of the people like to know about the streets, pothole, drainage. Drain been a big problem in many of my area, and the infrastructure of some of the drains been mixed. There's some of them been disconnected because they bring a new one, and some way somehow where they disconnect, they didn't connect to the other area and cause a huge problem in Van Buren and Huron Township. And the pothole we been really working, but I'm not too happy the way it's been done. I don't know if some of you see, they go to certain area, they fill up the pothole here, and then on the next lane, a huge one, they bypass it and keep going. The answer was, we can't close 2 lanes, but they're not closing the lane, they moving in the traffic. So sometimes it's very difficult to change old way of doing business. It's the way they've been doing it for too many years. We have so many discussion now in meeting to discuss the way we fix the road. As the state representative Bob, and he's a very hard-working one, really, I have the honor to work with him, is the $175 million get to Wayne County, 43 city, $5,000,000.3, which not enough to fix 2 roads. So they tell us we're giving you money, but they didn't tell us the money, it's not the same size of the problem, doesn't cure the problem. And now we been really, Wayne County been in the eye of the economic change hot spot. There are too many industry wanted to move to Michigan from overseas and from another states. And now the problem we have, the mass transit, we don't have. So the county have too many issues we dealing with, and it need the support of the people. And need, you know, the old theory is the squeaky wheel get the grease. That is a true one, because, you know, I see it in a state level, in a county level, and a federal level. And now Wayne County, we need to stand up and keep communicating with our elected official in Washington, address those issues and the funding. And that, a lot of people think, you know, maybe does it make difference? No, it make a difference. When they hear from you, they know you care, and they know when election come, person who care gonna vote according to the response they receive from their elected official. So for the road we working on, we have all the crew and full capacity. We patching with cold patch, and I really don't feel it's long-term solution, because the hot asphalt is not gonna open till end of April almost. And the drain issue, now we have the drain commission working on evaluating the situation. We reroute couple drain and Huron Township, which they build home and above the drain, and now the drain collapsed. And what are you going to do? Demolish the home to fix them? So we was forced to reroute them. We have a problem on Michigan Avenue in Wayne. We've been addressing that issue because the state take care of those drains, and what they do, they issue work order to the county, and the county send the crew and send the bill to the state. And we've been trying to get the state to issue the work order for a while. Then finally, I think Bob learned about this, and he's trying to work with the state because the county would not do the work unless the state issue the order. So that the situation for the people who call about Michigan Avenue. The county balanced the budget this year, and today we have a session about the jail. It looked like we go into the Justice Center, which it's going to be the court, the jail, and the juvenile, and it's going to be offices for the sheriff, and the they're going to move the court to that center. So it will be saving, a huge saving, and it would bring huge economic development to Detroit. And in Detroit, it became downtown for the region, not for, it's for the state. So whatever downtown bring new headquarters for company, corporation, that's gonna benefit all of us. And the airport expansion too, They demolished the old International. They're going to add 3 gates to the north where the International terminal was, and they're going to leave outdoor space for airplane to park before they send that to the hangar to be repaired. On the south side, the old green building, it will be demolished, and they will add a few gates over there too and leave room for outdoor storage. And that's gonna bring the airport to be almost the 2nd largest airport in the nation. And I hope the traffic keep increasing. It's mean more people coming to the state to do business. In our region, we have Amazon on Ecorse Road, Penske, Mopar. We have 4 major distribution centers for automotive and for retailing, and that would create total of 4,000 jobs. To be exact, 3,800, but it's 4,000 jobs almost created by those economic development. And we hope to continue that trend because we have a huge number of acreage, couple 100,000 acres. It's not worth a penny because there are no road on them, and no industry going to come and open a plant if you don't have a Class A road to bring their truck on it. So finally we got the state to agree and connect Vining Road to Ecorse. And that cost $16 million. The $16 million, the state agreed to let the education fund pay $13 million to that project, and $1.5 million from the county and $1.5 million from city of Romulus. And many people ask why the education fund has to pay for the road. So the education fund would not lose a penny out of that fund, because by the law, by the statute, any money used from the education fund to different project than education, it has to be replaced from the general fund of the state. So therefore the education fund would not lose a penny, but it's a way the state wanted to do business. So we took it that way, and the project been approved, and that now we have 1,000 of acre available for economic development because of that road. And I'd be glad to answer any question if anybody have any question.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for the commissioner? No? Any questions for the representative?
I do.
Yes.
And I guess it could be a twofold question for both of you. As you guys both know, we have issues with our having enough police officers in our city, and I wanted to invite you. I'm doing it without asking the chief first, but I'd like to see if you would take the time to meet with our chief, come and see our department and see where our department is currently at, and see if there's anything you could do on the county level and the state level to try to help. I think other cities are in the same situation we are in, or we hit it first because we're smaller, but we need all the help we can get. And if you could take the time to talk with our chief, check out our department and see where the issues are. It's something I think that you guys would really be beneficial for you to see, and just get a better handle of what's going on with our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we can move the agenda.
All right. Is item 4 requests. Item 4A is to declare Sunday, April 22nd, 2018 as Earth Day in Wayne.
Move approval.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Item 5 is bid awards. Item 5A is to approve the bid award for the mowing of the Michigan Avenue medians and right-of-ways through the city of Wayne. This is to be paid from the Michigan Avenue maintenance budget, which is reimbursed through the MDOT, from MDOT. And this approval would be subject to a written contract acceptable to both the city and the vendor.
Okay.
Move low bidder Dixon Landscaping, Livonia, Michigan, $6,060.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Porter, supported by Councilman Webster, Are there any questions or
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
discussion? Yes. Mr. Queen?
Mr. Queen,
Yes, sir.
what are the requirements from the state to get reimbursed? That's my first question. Like, are there requirements when I know the reason, the backstory on this is that our medians weren't getting mowed, and we finally took upon ourselves to say, hey, can we do this? And then you reimburse us, and they basically said yes. That's kind of a nutshell. What are the requirements for us to get paid from them?
Normally what happens is we just have to submit the paperwork to them and our contract of the contractor that we're selecting, and then they go ahead and reimburse us for the dollar amount that we're asking.
Okay, I'm not opposed to this, and I will be voting yes on this, but the question I had was, traditionally, have we ever had a problem with the Frank's Landscaping out of Wayne?
We have. They
Okay.
worked for us for a couple of years, and there were some issues as far as internally with their own company, as well as just them performing the job for us. They actually had all 4 of our contracts for city property, streetscape, parks, and the medians. And I believe that it was just overwhelming for one contractor to try to have that much manpower dedicated to our city, because we stay on our contractors, especially when it comes to mowing. My foreman is constantly, we want them to report to us when you're in town, what did you cut, because we'll go back and we'll check to see that they did that job, and so that we're paying them for the work that they completed.
So I appreciate that. Because the reason I asked those questions is because since it's not the city's money and the state hasn't given us any other money, I was just going to ask, because there's a long tradition of the state or the city, if it's a local contractor or whatever, if it's within a certain percentage, we usually go like Jack Demmer Ford or Mark Chevrolet and that sort of thing like this. I was just curious, what is that percentage if that's still the city's tradition, I guess, and if the only reason I would consider that is because this is the state's money and not the city's money.
Correct. Yeah, Dixon Landscaping, from what I understand, they have a P.O. box out of Livonia, but they also have from my understanding, they have I'm not sure if they have a spot over there on Metro Commerce, but that's where all their equipment is stored right now, all their landscaping equipment. I drove by there yesterday, just to talk with the owner.
Thank you for the hard work on this.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions? It's been moved to give the low bid to Dixon Landscape for yes, I'm sorry.
Kathy Brown, I was just wondering in the difference, like $49,374 versus $6,000, how?
Correct. A lot of times the contractors, they'll place their bid and whatever their bid comes in at. So sometimes, depending on the size of the contractor, they may be a bigger contractor that may give you a higher price because they have a bigger workforce, and they may come in and just get it done right away. Yeah, sooner, and the work gets done a lot quicker because they have a bigger workforce and more equipment.
Such a big difference on all those bids.
Right. We're normally historically been paying around $5 to $6 grand for the medians for them.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. It's been moved to award the bid to Dixon Landscaping in the amount of $6,060. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is an amended item 5B. There was a late communication from the low bidder, and it is at your places, actually from Mr. Queen, stating that he had a communication from the low bidder that he was not able to fulfill the requirements of the contract, and he's recommending to go to the next lowest bidder, that is at your places. So the amended would be, again, to approve the bid award for city parks mowing to be paid by the Parks and Recreation budget, would be not Dixon's, but it would be Scooby's Lawn Care would be the next lowest bidder for $38,111.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
You need a motion?
Yes. Could we have a motion first?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Gabriel, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Discussion, Councilman Sanders?
Have we had because it's at our place, has the administration, specifically Mr. Queen, had the chance to do his due diligence on that?
Yes, I did. I called, normally what I do is I'll call the references that they have. And Dixon did have a couple that were, he had like a 15-acre property out in Canton he does, and another 8-acre property, and then some smaller ones. But he had called me late in the day because I've been trying to contact him, get a hold of him, but he was out of town. And when he called me, he talked to me, he said that he didn't feel that he'd be able to do it because it was such a large job. I told him, I said, you're doing 110 acres, 20 acres on the medians, and another 90 acres approximately in the parks. And when I explained that to him, he was not confident that he'd be able to do that large size of a job. So
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. It's been moved to award the contract to the second lowest bid, Scooby's Lawn Care in Westland. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 5C is to approve a bid award for the 2018 slip lining project to be paid from the Water and Sewer Fund budget. This approval would be subject to a written contract acceptable to both the city and the vendor.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Any questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Could Mr. Queen explain what areas would be done for the residents, please?
This is Mr. Byton.
Byton.
Mr. Byton, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I apologize, Mr. Queen.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, the areas that we're going to cover with this slip lining project coming up are the courts on the east side of Thin Bark, and the roads between Pershing and Elizabeth, between Michigan Avenue westbound and the Rouge River, and also Newberry, Biddle, and Washington between Annapolis and Forest.
Maybe he could also just maybe explain a little bit what slip lining is. Maybe it might help a little.
Sure. So as our sanitary sewer gets old, sanitary sewer holds up actually for a very long time, but at some point it does get old and it starts to deteriorate. Before it collapses, we need to take measures to either remove it from the ground and replace it, or a technique that's been very successful and we've done quite a bit of in our community is to take something that looks kind of like a sock, a big long sock, and we pull it through an existing pipe that still has its shape to it, and we expose it to hot water, which triggers a chemical reaction. That chemical reaction expands the sock up against the walls of the existing pipe and creates a new hard plastic pipe within the old pipe. And essentially we're able to put in brand new sewer that way without doing a lot of disturbing of the environment around us. So it's been very successful. We've done many miles of this type of work. In 2007 was our last big push, and in fact In Situ Forum was the contractor for that project, and they did 8.5 miles of slip lining for us at that time. And this is a little bit smaller right now. In these concentrated areas, we're doing about 2 miles of slip lining this year.
Okay. Any other questions?
Madam Mayor, would that bring, Mr. Byton, would that bring up the city primarily, almost the entire city slip lined and or new sewers?
No, we have many areas that still need quite a bit of work. These are the most critical areas. The engineering department gets together with the Department of Public Works to make sure we're addressing the most critical areas. There shouldn't be any concern of our sewers. We keep them up very well, but we are very careful and we see the need that's still out there. So we'll be requesting more of these projects in future years. We do have water main that we have to be responsible for too, and we have a lot of areas in the water main that need to be worked on as well. So we're kind of going back and forth between those, trying to keep them both up to a good level of service.
Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
What is the longevity of slip lining?
Same as a brand new pipe. So long time,
40,
70
50 years out?
70 years.
I know you did it in our sub in 2007, and it was very I mean, I couldn't believe it. There was hardly no disruption and traffic and everything, and they cleaned up, and they did a good job.
Good.
Yeah, no problems. Okay. Any other questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I have one. I know in researching this, there's two methods in which you can install this. I know we're doing the continuous. Is there a reason we're doing that over the other method?
Mm-hmm. So, yes, that's a good question. There are times when you might have a failure in a newer pipe, and you would then do a segmented portion.
Okay.
That's quite a bit more expensive, but it's only for a smaller part of the pipe, so it makes sense to do that. We're dealing with pipes in 2 of these 3 areas that were put in the 1920s, and the thin bark area is a little bit newer in the 1950s. But the pipes have when you try and make a repair on these pipes, they're very brittle and continue to fall apart. So it doesn't make sense to continue to make a repair and then go back and make another repair. It's pretty evident that these pipes need to be done as a continuous lining.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mike.
Item 6 are ordinances and amendment. Item 6A is the second reading of ordinance number 2018-03 for Chapter 838 Medical Marijuana Facilities.
Okay. Wish of council?
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Porter.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
May I request a roll call, please?
Certainly. Any questions from council? No? Okay. All right. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Just one moment. Okay, this is item 6A, and it is a motion by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Porter. And the first to vote for the second reading is Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
No.
Councilman Racy.
No.
Councilman Porter.
Yes.
Councilman Sanders.
No.
Councilman Gabriel.
No.
Councilman Webster.
Yes.
Mayor Rowe.
Yes.
The motion did fail by a 4-3 vote.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
could we, this is the second reading. Can we make changes to this at this point and revote?
Yeah, you can make a change, but we go back to a first reading at
We'll
that
go back
point.
to the first reading, and we'll have to have a second reading
then
then
we
at a
put
later
it in.
date.
Which, from a deadline perspective, we still have, I think, until June 15th to have something passed for our existing dispensaries. So by having a second reading, we're not pushing ourselves back, past any necessary deadline from the state's perspective.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I would like to suggest the same reading except for the 1,000-foot requirement. So essentially eliminating the 500-foot change and leaving it at a 1,000-foot requirement.
Or provisioning centers,
Yes.
right?
Madam Mayor, I support that.
Okay. That was the
So maybe we could just get the ordinance number. So one moment, please, just so
Yes.
we're all on the same page. Thank you. So this is
83806.
Yes, 83806, and it would be the concentration basically 838.068, and that would be shall not be located within 1,000 feet of any other provisioning center.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Okay.
And since the motion is on the floor, I'd like to just take a moment and explain as to why again in more detail. There's a couple things that make me uneasy about the 500-foot requirement. Some of you may know that we have a 1,000-foot requirement for other things in our city, such as like liquor stores and such. I don't think it's a good thing to cater this to just marijuana, or medical marijuana, excuse me, and start to change, because then it could be perceived upon as far as changing the ordinance for other items that have the 1,000-foot requirement. Also, the spot that opens up is a new development in our community. Not saying anything's going on, but the perception that residents get is not good. I had a few residents reach out as well with regards to this one development having the opportunity. And there was an argument as well against it, saying that it is a lottery, so it's not guaranteed to get it. However, looking at the schematics of everything involved with this, nobody's going to apply for a lottery or the option to get it without the establishment or the means to have their place. So again, not suggesting, because I have nothing to do with that. I haven't heard anything, seen anything, but it has a perception that there's a cash thing or something going on behind closed doors, and I don't want residents to get that idea. Again, it's not happening that I know of, but it's a perception.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I too have concerns. I voted for this last time, and I have concerns because, kind of like what Gabriel, Councilman Gabriel had said, I had 2 residents contact me, and they're like, "Why are we catering to one developer? Why are we?" Because the provisioning center could easily be put on the Schaefer project, which we know when we presented it, when he bought the property, and I was concerned at the time, even though we couldn't stop it, he was a forefront in the medical marijuana business, and I forward that information to you. And at the time, I figured at the last reading, I was like, okay, I'm fine, I'm good with it. But the appearance that we are changing a 500, from 1,000 to 500 in order to either directly compete with an existing establishment or to cater to a developer just because we want a development, when the city attorney specifically said, buyer beware. When they buy property, beware. We don't know what's going to happen, what the ordinance is going to be. And I too have concerns because people says, when I brought this up to a resident, because I really didn't think anything of it, and they brought up a good point. They're like, who in their right mind is going to invest all that money in a license? All of that money, and then I remember what you had said, it's a great expenditure for money on a license on a piece of property that they may have to rent. They're not going to do it. And I just think that it gives the appearance of stinkiness, and I don't like it. I can't sign my name to that.
Okay. Any other comments? No?
If I may,
yes.
Mayor, I just want the city clerk to verify, and I don't have an opinion one way or another, but I do want him to clarify on if there is the 1,000-foot concentration requirement with regard to dispensaries, would there even be the need to approve a 4th license? Because basically keeping the 1,000 feet, right, we've already determined that the city has a maximum capacity of 3.
Right.
So I guess my suggestion is, if that's going to be the wish of council, why even have an 8th license or the 4th provisioning center license tied up to a provisioning center when in fact it is not physically feasible given the 1,000-foot concentration requirement. In other words, if you still want to approve 8, then the breakdown should be 3 and 5, or in the alternative, you would only be approving technically 7, which would be 3 provisioning centers and 4 others, because physically at a 1,000-foot concentration requirement, there is not a room for a 4th dispensary anywhere else in the city.
Right.
So I just want everyone to have that on their mind in deciding whether they're going to approve 8 licenses, then the shift should be made to 3 and 5, 3 provisioning centers, 5 others. Or if you're going to have the 1,000-foot concentration requirement, you are in fact impliedly reducing it to 7, whether you say so or not, because there'll be the 3 and the 4. Mm-hmm. So obviously that's a decision for council. Do we just want 7, 3 and 4? Or if the 1,000-foot's going to stick, do we want to do 3 and 5 to still be at the total number of 8?
I understand what you're saying.
Something to think about.
Okay. Okay. So can we at least vote on this first section?
His motion should be in total. So his motion should be all revisions included, rather than piecemealing the revisions.
Okay. All right.
I would like further discussion on other council members on what direction they would like to see.
For the going to 7 facility license?
Correct. Whether we keep it at 8 licenses, which means we do 5 others and 3 provisioning, or if the council would rather see the other way. Before changing the motion, I would like to hear arguments from all council members so we can come together on this and not have to keep repeating and going back and forth with motions.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
From what I understand, there was theoretically other places on the southwest corner that a provisioning center could be put.
Well, I can't answer specifically,
Right.
but, possibly one could occur, more east, kind of east of Treadwell, heading towards the entranceway to the Ford facility off of Van Born. But I haven't done an exact measurement to confirm that if it is possible or not. Would probably be the only location, possibly along the property that was sold recently.
Okay.
Possibly where they did make indication about a provisioning center or a grow facility. Maybe it could convert to that. I just don't know if that is 1,000 feet from the Treadwell location of one of the provisioning centers we have.
Okay.
It's close. I just don't know the exact measurement.
Okay. What do other members of council?
Oh, I'm sorry, Cogswell. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What-
Confused.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So.
Could you turn your microphone down? What do other members of council feel?
I think we need to remain with the first one. That would be my opinion.
Okay.
Mayor,
The one we passed with the first reading? Okay. Yes.
Mayor, I just feel that we have 3 dispensaries. I think that is enough for the size of this community. I think we should be looking at the other aspects of the facilities that the marijuana industry has to be able to help us be able to start selling some property in the southwest end of this community and be able to get some of them on our tax rolls to be able to basically start supporting some of our basic services.
Okay, so you would just go with 3 provisioning?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Well, first off, I think I said it at the last meeting. I'm not really for all these things right now. I think I'd like to keep it at a smaller number. However, I do think if we're going to have them, and if there's somebody that wants to make a development, we should be looking at development dollars because that's where we're going to make money for the city long term. I don't support this current motion we are talking about. I don't have a problem with the ordinance, and if it came back to the original motion, I would support the original motion.
Which
what just failed a minute ago or 5 minutes ago or whatever. The original reading.
So the second reading that we voted on, you voted no.
Well, because I didn't realize we were having a discussion. I thought I was the same thing as what I felt from the first time, and I wish we would have had this conversation to begin with, and then we would have known that there was an issue. I was voting the way that I felt from the beginning. I just don't think going to a second reading, I would go ahead and support the first one that we had. I personally don't think we should be trying to do more. However,
Madam Mayor, can we?
This is the thing that brings people out of all of them. This is the thing that will bring the most people to our community. So
I agree with that. However, my only concern, Madam Mayor, is that we are giving the appearance of impropriety, and it's not right. We are catering to a developer. A developer. We have never done that. Never. And it looks bad.
Mayor?
And let me finish.
I wasn't finished with what I was saying first, but okay.
And I will pull my motion, and I will motion to table this so we can all have time to rethink this.
Okay.
And maybe get the city administration to poll the council to see what we would, so we don't have to, debate this at the table. But
This, actually, it does have to be discussed here.
Yes.
Number one, also, Councilman Sanders was the supporter, not the motion maker.
Right.
Just to clarify.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, this, we've all had a lot of time to look into this. This has been hashed over by the administration's committee. We did have discussion about the 1,000 feet last meeting, and it still was passed. I don't know what changed, but I will assure you, I have no
never said you did.
whatsoever. I just want this to be done so that we can move forward and get some money, taxable dollars in our city. I have no idea if Mr. Schaefer, what he's doing with that property. I've not had any conversations with him other than in a session that he was giving a presentation at. So for anybody to sit up here and even say that you're not aware of anything, but giving out the fact that you're putting it out there that there might be some impropriety going on, I find that very insulting to everybody sitting up here and to the administration as well.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but the fact of the matter is, you can sign on to it if you want to vote for the original proposal, and now you have, you know, Councilman Racy has said so. I'm just telling you what residents have come to me at, and I'm telling you, and I didn't even think of it because I voted for it in first as well, not even thinking that what was happening. But when we did a great deal of discussion, and I don't know why I didn't think about it, the city attorney, and all of us were discussing about where that could be in relationship to the current Michigan Avenue, and I said the Schaefer project, and you had said yes. So I said, still didn't even think about it until after the fact. I'm like, why are we at this point? And I'm sorry that you're insulted. There's nothing that I said that would be insulting. The fact of the matter is that we are catering to one landowner. When there was another person that bought a property over and we told him buyer beware. It was going to be a welding shop, but then it wasn't. And we told him buyer beware. Why are we not catering to him or catering to somebody else? We are catering to one developer. And if you don't see how that looks different, then I'm sorry. And you can look at me and stare me down all you want.
I'm not staring, I'm just...
But that's just the facts.
Okay, that's your opinion.
Yeah,
yes,
it is.
Yes, the city attorney would like to speak.
If I may, Mayor, even though it's not part of the ordinance, our application process, which we've discussed at length, and maybe this will, you know, satisfy some concerns that people have, it will be a lottery-based system. So we will not, absolutely not be deciding based on, I don't care who you are, I don't care how much money you have, I don't care who you know. The way that our application process is based, because of these same concerns that that we had as a committee, is going to be the ordinance itself has general requirements, so there will be a deadline for accepting applications. Our staff, after the deadline is, we will not examine any applications until after the deadline has passed. So for example, if that deadline is June 1, whatever date it may be, we will not take a look at any applications until after June 1. At that time, we will weed out applications based on whether they meet the requirements of the ordinance. You will automatically be disqualified if you submit an incomplete application or an application that is not in compliance with the ordinance. No opportunities will be given for anyone to correct their application, which is why we're not looking at applications prior to the deadline itself, so that there's no allegation that we've provided an opportunity to supplement or fix an application. After we've weeded through the applications themselves, then we will be conducting, just like we do when we open sealed bids, a meeting, a bid opening, I forget what Matt called it, wherein we have a lottery, each application is assigned a number, and we will draw numbers in an order with an alternate in mind in the event that one of them falls through. The idea is that there's transparency. We're trying to eliminate the subjectivity that goes into the applications themselves. So we have crafted an application, and I think it's kind of like a moving piece at this point, but it will be finalized and made available, you know, on the website when it is available, once we've set the deadlines for when we will open the application process and have a cutoff. So when you reference a particular development, whether it be a Van Born, Cogswell, Schaefer development, whatever the case may be, they're going to go into the lottery. So if your number doesn't get picked, I'm sorry. I mean, that's kind of just the cards that you're dealt. We are also going to have an anti-collusion provision so that we don't have multiple applicants applying for a license that are actually the same entity or property owner to gain some sort of unfair disadvantage, which I think has been something that communities have seen, where you have multiple partners or owners. They create different entities, but they really all have the same interest in the same piece of land. So they have 4 applications in the lottery as opposed to just 1. So we really have taken a look at every possible area we can, just because I'm an attorney, my license is on the line, I'm an honest, ethical person, and I'm not going to have people accusing me, myself, this, you know, the city clerk, anyone involved in the process of having committed any sort of, even the appearance of impropriety. So we have looked at, even though it's not in the ordinance, the application process and how we're trying to avoid these concerns that citizens have expressed to Councilman Sanders.
And others.
And whomever else has expressed them. So this is a fluid process, but I can tell you today that every discussion we have had has been, there will be a lottery. There's no question about that.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I don't disagree, and I'm not accusing anybody, let it be abundantly clear, of any impropriety. I'm saying the appearance of, and if I might address the city attorney, I don't disagree with you that there's going to be a lottery process, and I thought that was outstanding that was put in the ordinance by you, the city manager, the economic development director, the chief of police, and Matthew Miller, or the clerk, I apologize. But you said it yourself, the exorbitant amount of money that is going to be wrapped up in a licensing process that is going to be needed for bond and everything else. It's like, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. You're not going to get someone that's going to apply for a license when there's one, as you say, that is available, which is going to be on that Michigan Avenue property when they themselves do not own that property. They are not going to rent a piece of land that can be ended at any time when a rental agreement is up and have all that money vested in a license. That just doesn't even pass the sniff test.
Well, keep in mind.
That's outrageous.
Keep in mind, you don't have to own the property, so.
I know you don't have to own the
So
property.
it can be an option to purchase. So you can pay for the option to purchase, and an option to purchase land is a sufficient interest in land under the ordinance to do that. In addition, when you talk about leases, on these types of leases, I would assume any landlord who had, and any tenant would be entering into long-term leases. This is not a lease where someone would come in and rent for 12 or 24 months with the amount of money they'd be investing. So, you know, that's the risk they take as business people, but that is one of the requirements under our ordinance, is that you already have an interest in land that qualifies under the zoning requirements. So whether that be Van Born or Cogswell, it could be an option to purchase land on Cogswell. That is 100%, you know, one of the vetting requirements that we have. I mean, we can't really say anything more than that. We want to make sure that you have an interest in land that qualifies and meets the zoning requirements.
And Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Again, just to further expand on it, we have other ordinances with 1,000-foot requirements, and we are wanting to change this one. If council goes ahead and passes this 500, then we should do what's right and change all other ordinances to 500 feet, because again, it's not fair to other businesses or other practices, especially when, like Councilman Racy had said, we should be dipping our toes in this, not diving in head first, because all of the presentations we've had is, if you make this decision based on monetary gains, you're going to make the wrong decision. This is obviously a test period, and being able to have the things that we have established already and not have to change, that's what's going to give us the most risk adverse options available. And again, I respect your passion on this and further explanation that there probably is not anything that goes on, but just as you took my comment as perception of I'm suggesting there's something going on, that perception is reality. That's how you felt based on my comment. Residents are feeling the same way based on passing this change versus other industries or other businesses. So again, it's not saying that something's going on, it's the perception reality theory. If it looks like something, then we think it is something. Again, not to beat a dead horse, but my comment saying that there seems to be something going on or alluding to that when there probably isn't, is perception. You took that as I'm suggesting, same with Councilman Sanders, that I'm suggesting something's going on. We're not suggesting anything. We're just expounding on the appearance and perception. So again, I'm fine with the ordinance. I wanted further discussion on the number of licenses. If we want to keep it 3 and 4, that's totally fine with me. Again, we should not be changing the 1,000-foot requirement.
Okay.
That's my only issue.
All right. We also had a motion to table.
Well, we have a motion.
Well, we have a motion. We can't vote on this motion because the attorney said she wanted it to be a total motion that included what we wanted to do with the provisioning center licenses and the other 4.
Well,
my motion on the table. My motion on the table is that stays the way it is, except for 500 turns to 1,000.
Okay. So you could still have 4 provisioning centers, but it has to be within 1,000 feet.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody understand the motion?
Yes.
And is the supporter still supporting it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Who did?
Roll call.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have a roll call.
This is a motion by Councilman Gabriel, supported by Councilman Sanders. The first to vote is Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Yes.
Councilman Racy.
No.
Councilman Porter.
No.
Councilman Sanders.
Yes.
Councilman Gabriel.
Yes.
Councilman Webster.
No.
Mayor Rowe.
Yes.
The motion does carry by a 4-3 vote. So then we will move the agenda to item 6B. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2018-04. This is for the repeal of Chapter 836, medical marijuana dispensaries.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, to repeal Chapter 836 of the medical marijuana dispensaries. Second reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Yes.
Could you explain what you changed?
I can do that, Mayor.
City Attorney will do that.
So the city had an existing medical marijuana ordinance in place. In order to enact a new one, we would then need to repeal the existing ordinance. So that's why you saw the new ordinance first, and then the old ordinance would be listed second. We can't have both existing at the same time.
Does this have any language in it about 1,000 foot in it, in this number B?
Yes, the original ordinance did have 1,000-foot concentration requirement for dispensaries, in addition to 1,000-foot setback from any school, church, daycare.
So this ordinance you've got here is in compliant to, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
What you said, Mr. Gabriel?
Yes.
Complies? Doesn't give a bad perspective?
The one we just voted on?
Right.
6B?
Yeah, 6B.
6B, that one we're nullifying.
You're doing what now?
We're nullifying 6B. It's not going to be in effect anymore.
Oh. Second
Because
reading. I didn't hear anybody read anything myself. Second reading of the ordinance, I didn't hear any ordinance read of what to repeal it, so plain John Doe out here, I don't know what you're repealing. You're repealing, I don't know if this stuff is going through a planning commission or what. What are you repealing? The whole ordinance?
The ordinance that currently allows our dispensaries that we have.
You're gonna, could you put a number on that, please?
Pardon me?
Could you put a number on that?
We have 3 dispensary licenses that are currently out there.
Okay, and these licenses are filed in our clerk's office?
Yeah.
I've got
the original ones.
I've got one of those customers out there. I got a perception. The clerk keeps on referring to the southwest area, the southwest area. We still got a license available in the southwest area. What's this perception I get? Do you have some property in the southwest area? Who is this person in the southwest area?
For the other license, the provisionary license.
Southwest area.
I don't know who owns property that qualifies. The reason we reference the southwest area is because the southwest area of the city happens to be an industrial 1 or 2 zoning district, in addition to the fact that that's the only area of the city where you're going to be able to meet the 1,000-foot setback requirement from any residence, school, church. Based on the makeup of our city and the fact that we have homes throughout, churches throughout, the only time you can get 1,000 feet or more away from these types of things like a church, a school, is by going into that southwest quadrant, because that's mostly industrial. That's why by definition they've kind of been forced into that.
I wish Colliers was here to explain a lot of that. So Mrs. Gorin's not here. So okay, you're going to repeal this. So see my pen? I'm going to etch that off for you.
Just
ahead.
Point of order real quick to the city clerk. If we could redo the vote and actually table that second reading of the ordinance, because upon thinking about it further, technically, if we continue forward, we do not have an ordinance for medical marijuana, and all the medical marijuana establishments that are in our city right now will no longer be able to operate until we have an approved ordinance. So I would like to, I don't know what the word is, but basically table 6B.
We should make a
have to have a motion to rescind.
To rescind that.
I make a motion to rescind our second reading of the ordinance repeal of Chapter 836 medical marijuana dispensaries at this time.
Support.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and supported to rescind the vote on 6A, which was the second.
6B.
I'm sorry, 6B. So if, well, but wouldn't this be repealed 30 days after? Isn't there a timeline after we would vote?
10 days.
It's only 10 days.
It's only 10 days?
And so we can't, we will not be able to have the first reading, or the second reading of 6A until.
More than 10 days.
Yeah, more than 10 days, yeah.
Okay, all right, okay.
We do need to.
Rescind.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay,
So we do need to do that. So we do have a motion to rescind.
Yes, the vote.
The vote. So.
Okay, everyone
Thank
understand?
you, Mr. Gabriel. You can't repeal something you don't already have and put it up forward and start all over again and read it, because you can't go around saying second reading when you haven't even got the language for a second reading. You're just fighting amongst yourselves about 1,000.
No, we do have the language for the second reading of the repealing.
Of the repealing, but
Yes.
not A. So, thank you.
Okay.
So there is a motion on the floor.
Which motion now do we have?
To
Yes,
rescind.
Councilman, yes. Mr. McClear?
Mr. Clearman.
Clearman, I'm sorry, McClear. Clearman.
A couple questions. One is, can we rescind a motion we've repealed?
Pardon me? What is?
Legally, can we rescind a motion that we've repealed?
Yes, if you are on the prevailing side, you can request it to be voted on.
And the second one was just a comment. The 1,000-foot thing is assuming that none of the current medical marijuana dispensaries move. The one on Michigan Avenue can move further to the west, and then we have 1,000 feet to the east. And they weren't looking at that as the permanent location because they wanted something that was handicapped accessible. Currently, neither dispensary we have is.
That won't be possible because they'll be moving closer to residential, so they can't move. They're 1,003 feet away from residential, so they can go 3 feet.
Gotcha. They're also bordering the property for the Moose Family Center, 0 feet. So.
You're correct. There's not a requirement because of that.
All right.
Okay. All right. Will the clerk state the motion again?
Okay. This is a motion by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Gabriel, to rescind our second reading of the repeal of ordinance number 2018-04.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Then
I'd like to make a motion to table the second reading of ordinance number 2018-4 until the second reading of
ordinance 2018-03.
Yes.
Just Chapter 836, right?
This is actually all of the Chapter 838.
All right, cool.
Which is the 6A?
Yes.
Okay.
6B.
Yes. So there's a motion, but not a second.
Second. Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported, moved by Councilman Gabriel, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, to rescind the vote on...
No, to table.
To table, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, to
that's okay.
table item 6A.
6B.
Wait, we
Sorry.
just voted on 6B.
No, that was to rescind.
Then 6B.
So now we're going to table 6B.
Now we're going to table the 6B. Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now we'll move on to item 7, which are general items for consideration. And this is item 7A, to approve calling a special study session to discuss the budget for Thursday, April 12th, 2018 at 7 p.m.
Move to approve. Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller and supported by Councilman Racy. Any discussion, questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to let the record know that I cannot make due to work constraints.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, then we have removed item 7B, so we're moving to item 7C. This is to approve a resolution for a library ballot proposal for the August 7th, 2018 election.
Move approval.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Is there any discussion? Would the library board like to do a brief presentation before we vote?
Hi, I'm Steve McGladdery. I'm the director of the Wayne Library. Just a few facts about why this millage is needed. At its best time of funding, the library's one mill was worth $750,000. The library also was able to receive funds from the City of Wayne, as well as the Downtown Development Authority. Because of current circumstances, those are no longer the case. In fact, the library now pays $50,000 to the city for administrative fees from one mill that is worth $350,000 today. There are other funding sources that are not as stable. If you'd like to see those in more detail, they're available on our website in the annual report that was just submitted and approved. We have had to cut costs, including our books and materials budget, and cutting our hours back from 58 a week to 31 a week. We have made positive steps to take what we have and do better. Through our library consortium, the library network, we get our internet access. We have actually quadrupled our internet speed and are paying less than we were even a few years ago, thanks to new technologies. We also offer a program called ABC Mouse that promotes early learning and literacy. And it was such a hit in Wayne, they actually sent a team out to interview me and my staff. And we now appear on their video just gushing about how great it's been because the citizens of Wayne have loved it. Certain technologies we're going to look at if this millage does pass with the approval of the voters. More computers that the public can use. Definitely going to be looking at checking out hotspots. So if you don't have the internet at home, you can literally check out Wi-Fi and take it home with you.
Oh.
That is something we will be able to afford, and we get consortium pricing through that. We will also, I'm already looking at quotes, because I'm hopeful, for new copiers, which will include color copies, public fax, public scanning, and that's just the beginning. We will also add hours, including more evenings. We will add staff, and by adding staff, we will be able to use volunteers again, because they need to be supervised at all times. And if there are any questions about this, I would direct them to the Citizens Committee, a group of very dedicated Wayne citizens that are going to be running the positive campaign for this. They are called Citizens to Restore Our Library, and you will be hearing from them. Is there anything my board president would like to add? Because I'm sure I forgot something.
That's what it's all about, yeah. We get, as you've heard before, we get daily complaints about the hours. Every day. People want to come in the evenings more. They want to come in on Sundays. They want to come. Now, the additional 1 mil will probably not allow us to open all of the hours we were open before, but we're going to open as many as we possibly can. That will require some probably part-time people to cover the additional hours. And I can tell you that the Citizens Committee has their act together, and they are ready to roll. Absolutely ready to roll on a campaign. That's the next step after you, hopefully, approve the resolution this evening. Then it goes to the city clerk and then to the county clerk. And once everything's in place, and there's deadlines on these things too, which is why we have to do this tonight. Once that's in place, the Citizens Committee will rock and roll and get started on this. Everything from knocking on doors to sending things through the mail. Steve and I are going to address service clubs. And I would like to give a plug to Rotary tonight. They've been so good to us. And the Friends of the Library just gave us $5,000. We got down on our knees and cried and, you know, that sort of thing. And, but these are things that can't be counted on. Through their goodness, they gave us $5,000. But they might not be able to do that next year. So we can't count on that as part of the budget. Those are freebies. That's found money. We need to get we have two roof leaks now. When it rains or snow melts, water drips down on John McDonald's computer in the back, and in the desk of our children's librarian as well. So either way, we're going to have to buy new, have to buy some more wastebaskets or buckets. We are really, really anxious to get back to what we know we're supposed to be doing, and that is supplying library services of all kinds to the people of Wayne. They're your constituents, they're our friends, our patrons, and let me see if there's anything else. You should have gotten 2 memos, one in your packet, one 2-page in your packet, and one which came in the email yesterday.
We did.
So this, if you've read these, if you haven't, please do, because this covers just about everything except a couple of things that Steve has. We want to make this library. I'm changing we hats here from a member of the committee to chairman of the library board. The committee has a dynamite consultant on how to run a campaign. The campaign will start once you folks give us the okay. Shirley lives in Grand Rapids. She goes all over the state coaching libraries on how to get millages passed. And as I think I said in one of these, she's done 92. She's won 91 of the 92, and that one passed on the second time round. And she's working on 12 more right now as we're talking. So she's well known. She's got national awards, state awards for the work she does for libraries. Are there any questions that you folks would have of
Mayor,
the two of us?
Yes.
I have a question. Have you gotten an estimate on the roof?
Up to the front.
Have you gotten an estimate on the roof?
Steve?
We don't have an estimate for a complete replacement, but I have looked into just getting it completely resealed, which would be probably around $5,000 to $6,000, which we don't have right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. We've had a couple of contractors out. One of them came out 3 days in a row and ran a hose up on the roof to see if he could see where it was dripping in, and he couldn't find it. And has Fisher been out?
Same deal. They ran a hose up, couldn't find it.
Yeah, they go up there and they can't find it, but the people who work under it can find it.
Right. Any other questions?
We don't have a specific list of all the books we're going to buy. We don't have a specific list of all the technology we're going to get. because simply we're looking at a period of years, and we can't project that far out. We can project what we want to do and what we want to bring you and the citizens, and that's where we're going to go from. And
okay, are you through?
Yes, I am.
Councilman Racy?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I don't particularly care for the language in the draft that we're going to approve. It's on page 2. I'd like to take out the words health, safety, and welfare out of that and have just in the best interests of the city residents. I just don't think health, safety, and welfare belong in that. I'm not sure why, what safety has to do with.
Some of this is probably boilerplate language.
Okay, I just wasn't sure what that was, why that was there, but.
Ask the city attorney, is there any problem doing that?
I don't know. The attorney that drafts these is very well versed. I would agree. I've spoken to her in that area. I don't know if that's a statutory requirement that the city come to that conclusion. Generally, the city does have to act in their citizens' interests for purposes of their health, safety, and welfare. So you do see that language quite a bit in these types of resolutions, because every act that the city takes should be only for purposes of their residents' health, safety, and welfare. If your concern, Councilman Racy, is whether or not council is, by using that language, endorsing the millage, I don't know if that's the route you're going to on that, but council in general should not take a position as a whole on whether or not they support or do not support this millage as a whole. By passing the resolution, you're not saying, yes, we support the millage, no, we don't. You're just saying this should go to a vote of the people. So I don't want anyone to think by passing the resolution you are taking a position with regard to the millage.
I'm just concerned about that language of those words there, just based on what's going on in our police department currently. You know, I just struggle with those 3 words as the.
So given the fact, I know the attorney that they've been working with out of Grand Rapids, I spoke with her. She is out of town, it's my understanding, this week, because she did leave me a voicemail message to that effect. Given the May 15th deadline, if you want us to inquire of, to be clear, the library is a separate entity, so the city cannot spend any funds on preparing this, any funds whatsoever in the preparation. So I shouldn't be the one giving you an opinion as to whether or not that language is appropriate. One, given that I don't want to opine on something that's city resources, right? Anytime I spend my time on something, that's considered city resources. So the city should not be expending any resources on the drafting, implementation, and so on of the bill. The committee and the board should be the ones doing that. So if you are concerned about that language, we would have the second meeting in April if we wanted to get some clarification from their attorney on whether that language is required by statute.
Yeah.
That's an option. I'm not going to give an opinion because that would be opining on behalf of the board, and I shouldn't be doing that.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I don't have a problem if the motion, I mean, I still support this. I was the motion maker. I don't have a problem withdrawing my motion to, if that is a concern of the council or Councilman Racy, I don't have a problem withdrawing my motion, so their attorney can let us know if that's a required verbiage in this resolution, or if it's something that can be taken out, if the verbiage is the issue.
Mayor?
Yes.
If I may. Can council pass this resolution or accept this resolution tonight and then change that wording later?
They could strike the language now and add it later if we determine it's required, if that's what the question that you're asking. So pass it with what they're agreeable to tonight.
Right.
Absent that language, if we determine later that that's a statutory requirement, and your attorney, comes to that conclusion and it was not acceptable the way that it was passed, it can be brought back before council with that language re-included if she determines it's necessary.
So they can't go ahead and do the business tonight and then
they
change it
could
later.
strike that language and pass it absent that concern tonight.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I won't amend my motion then. striking the verbiage on page 2 at the top of the page that says
the health, safety, and welfare.
Safety, and welfare.
Okay.
And keep in the best interest of the city residents. Is that okay? Was that?
Councilman Racy?
Yes, in the best interest of the, that's fine.
Yes. Does Mayor Pro Tem agree?
Mayor Rowe, correct me if I'm wrong, but he just indicated that the roof is leaking, okay? And I think that kind of reflects the fact of ensuring the safety of its occupants and the patrons that are utilizing it. And some of the money, if this millage is approved, would be going to take care of that. So that, to me, in my mind, reflects that statement in that in here. Okay. And secondly, voting on this, we are giving or allowing the opportunity for the residents to decide on this decision. We're not here deciding on which way it goes. We're here allowing the citizens to make their decision.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
That's it.
Are you finished, Mayor Pro Tem? Yes.
Madam Mayor, I don't disagree with the Mayor Pro Tem. I'm just trying to, I don't have a problem. What I'm saying is if there's an issue with that verbiage, and then if they're going to go back to their attorney and say, and let us know through a memo that if it's okay and we can add it later. I'm just in the interest of trying to get the vast majority of people, maybe unanimous if possible.
Okay. We're getting a little bit close on some of the deadlines.
So if we,
and I'm getting a little nervous about.
So if we could, if you would alter the, agree to my altering the original motion, then we can pass it. Then they can come back to us later.
I agree.
Okay. Okay. Does the clerk have that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And then you will, well. Any other questions from council?
Madam Mayor, I have a couple questions. So this millage is going to be for 10 years. How do we decide on that as opposed to maybe doing something a little shorter,
I'm sorry,
say 6?
My ears are getting old.
The millage that you're asking for is for 10 years. How do we come to that number as opposed to maybe doing 6 or a shorter duration?
The original talk was for 5. Well, the original talk was for 10. As I mentioned in one of these memos, that's become the kind of standard for library millages now, is 10 years. That, again, as I said in here, it allows for some long-term planning that 6 years or 8 years won't quite allow for, especially down on the 5 to 6 year range. 10 years, it gives us some wiggle room, and we know where things, technology is going to change in 10 years, and we're going to have to keep up with that. We don't know how many computers we're going to need yet, I say yet, but we will. We do need more. There's question, no question. But we 10 seems to be the standard, and that seems like it gives people a chance to give us a chance. And but I guess, am I answering your question at least?
Well, here's my concern, I guess. We've had 3 millages in recent memory that have all failed, so I would think that maybe some people might give this a little bit of pause just for the length of it. So I don't know if you took any consideration of that into what you guys decided upon.
Plus the consultant I spoke of earlier strongly urged us to go for 10, and strongly urged us to try not to go for anything less. Again, it gives us a chance to make a difference so that you can see the difference. In 5 or 6 years, you might not see a whole lot of difference. You'll see some, absolutely. But in 10 years, that gives us some long-term planning. That gives us a way to get down there and make a difference. And then at the end of 10 years, we can put the renewal up.
Okay, so we've been talking about the long term. What can we expect in the short term? Let's say the first 2 years. What can we expect in terms of increase of hours, turning some staff into full time? I mean, what's the plan there?
I can't give you specific numbers for hours because that's the board decision, and we have not discussed that. That'll be discussed
if we pass this.
About when the, sorry?
I said if we pass this resolution, then you can start discussing probably.
Hey, come on, let's be positive here.
Yes.
What was I saying?
Hours.
It's
Hours.
getting confusing in here.
Hours.
Hours.
You have no idea.
We just don't know yet because we haven't discussed that. And it depends on, again. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, good, do it. Come on up.
I have actually had the chance to crunch a few numbers in the short term. And again, like Ed said, a lot of this is dependent on what happens here tonight. We'd be looking at having a budget for books and materials. This would probably be in the neighborhood of about $50,000. We would have a budget for maintenance for the building. This would probably be between $15,000 and $20,000. The goal is to add at least 2 more evenings to our weekly schedule and open earlier in the day. We're thinking, and again, this is preliminary, 2 to 3 more librarian full-time staff, plus part-time as needed. At least 1 or 2 full-time circulation staff to work the front desk as needed. And using those staff to develop a new, exciting volunteer program. And like Ed touched on, as we develop and as I sit down with my big piles of invoices and crunch the numbers, we will be giving exact figures for hours, budgets that need to be approved by the board anyway and submitted to this council. So, and you will definitely be kept on board for every step of that.
Absolutely, everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the things that we knew even before we went into this, if any agency, any library, let's say, passes something like this and makes promises, they have to go back to the people and to the council and say, we promised you this, this is where we are, this is what you're getting right now. You're going to get this in another 6 months, and every time we add something, it'll be publicized with you and with the public. This organization, this committee, under the leadership of Shirley, has its act together. Believe me, it has its act together. She's given us some beautiful advice. She knows what she's doing. She's been doing it for 20 years, and and she does it free. But what I'm saying is we have our act together. The committee has its act together. And Steve does. I hope I do. I sometimes wonder.
You do.
But we'll make it work.
Okay.
Call the question, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Wait, we still have questions. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yes, okay. Are you finished, Councilman Webster? Councilman Porter?
Can I answer any of your questions?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
I don't have any.
I didn't.
Councilman Racy?
Thank you, Mayor. And we talked about this briefly. What are your thoughts of a district library in the future?
We've talked to a couple of other libraries regarding a district library. And for those who, may I explain what a district library is? There are 3 kinds of libraries.
You have to speak to the microphone, Ed, because you're speaking to us. You're speaking to the council. You're speaking to the council.
All right.
Madam Mayor, point
Yes.
of order, because this is really not a district library, even though it's an interesting question. This is not the totality of what the project of the item on the agenda.
This won't take long.
It's not about that. It's point of order. It's not about what the agenda is about. Are we approving this or are we not? This is not in the conclusive. You're not asking us to approve money for a district library.
That's correct.
It's a point of order.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Let's see, point of order, I'm confused right now. Brita, is that debatable or not? No, it's not.
Once he calls the question should have been called. There should have been no more discussion on it, actually. So regardless of whether any questions still remain, really the proper thing would have been, once the question's called, to take a vote.
All right, I apologize then. All right, will the clerk call the roll?
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can I ask one thing? Doesn't
Yes.
a point of order take a 2/3 majority of the council to approve?
I'll call the question.
Called the question. He called the question.
Okay,
So
you
we'd
called
have
the
to vote
question,
on it.
2/3 of the council has to approve that.
I don't believe, I didn't think it was,
You
that this is
have to have
2/3.
2/3 majority. So it's 5 of 7.
Okay, point of order. Well, according to my cheat sheet here, it says for a point of order, the chair decides if a vote is needed. Point of order, call the question.
And the point of order was called due to relevance.
You're right.
Again,
Okay.
it's not saying it was a bad question, Councilman Racy. It was a great question.
Okay, main motion. Previous
2/3 majority,
question.
Madam Mayor.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I
Is it
believe he's
2/3?
correct.
It
I
is
believe he's
correct.
All right,
That is correct.
then call the roll.
Well,
For-
this is for the,
We're
this is
call the
called
question. We're calling the question. So if you want us to stop all questions, you vote yes. Okay?
So this was a call to question from Councilman Sanders. This is to end the discussion. Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Yes.
Councilman Racy.
No.
Councilman Porter.
No.
Councilman Sanders.
Yes.
Councilman Gabriel.
Yes.
Councilman Webster.
No.
Mayor Rowe.
No.
Point of order then. Relevance. Relevance to the subject hand. That is the mayor's decision.
Okay, all right. Okay, I do agree. We're not voting on a district library. This is something that they have looked at, and they have talked to Inkster and to Garden City, and both of those have shown no interest, correct?
Inkster has reached a point where they're not looking to talk because they have had to move out of their building due to flooding. Garden City, they walked away from the discussion with neither a yes or a no. If the council would like, I'd be happy to draw up a comprehensive memo about district libraries and where we are legally with Garden City and Inkster. That'd
be fine. Okay.
That's good. That's good.
All right. Any other questions?
I personally, I don't know if there's other council people. If this passes tonight, I'd still like to talk to you guys more about what's going on. This is the first time we've had a conversation about this, together about this. So, we're kind of getting this kind of as everybody else is getting that. So when asking questions, that these are questions that I've been having. I just happened to mention it to Ed this afternoon because I happened to see him at the library. But these are concerns because I'm concerned. When we're talking about a millage, in my opinion, I'm looking at long-term solutions, and is this enough to sustain us for the future? You're saying you're not sure that you're going to be able to keep your hours and get your hours to where you want them to be. What are our solutions to make our library even better? And those are the conversations I think we should, as a council, be concerned about. And that's why I asked the question, because I think it's important. I think it's something that we should be looking at as a possibility. I don't know enough about it. I appreciate being able to hear, learn a little bit more. If you could send me something. I know I personally will do whatever I can if there's issues with the communities that you're trying to work with. I have relationships with some of the council people over there, and I have no problem going to talk to them and see if there's a way that we can try to get a conversation started and then let you guys go from there. But I do think the conversation should be had just to make sure that we have everything on the table and try to make the best library that we can for the citizens of Wayne, because that's what they deserve. So thank you.
Okay. And in regards to that, I had spoken to some folks from Inkster and some folks from Garden City, and they at the same time said it would take 2 to 3 years to get into a district library situation. I do not think that we should.
Of elections.
Right, and you have to have elections in all the cities as well. So I think that this is all we're doing here is putting this on letting them put it on the ballot. It's not up for us to, either agree or disagree with it. We can just the citizens will be the ones to do the final vote. We're just approving the language, and you all have had opportunities to talk to Steve and Ed through your years of sitting up here. All of us live in this community, so we all have an opportunity to use the library. So you've had this since Thursday. You knew this was coming. This had been put in the city manager's weekly reports to us, so it's not just new. So with that, I will call the question.
Do we need a roll call
vote? A roll call vote.
Okay.
To put this is just to put this on the ballot, and the citizens will make up their mind.
Yes. And this is a motion by Councilman Sanders, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, for item 7C, and this is to approve the ballot language without the words health, safety, and welfare in the draft resolution that was presented. So the first to vote is Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Yes.
Councilman Racy.
Yes.
Councilman Porter.
Yes.
Councilman Sanders.
Yes.
Councilman Gabriel.
Yes.
Councilman Webster.
Yes.
Mayor Rowe.
Yes.
Right, the motion did carry with a 7-0 vote.
So if you could find out from your attorney as soon as possible about that language, that one phrase, okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
And we'd like to invite all of you to come to the library. We're going to try to get some of you over a little bit at a time and sit down and explain some of this stuff, just like Mr. Racy said.
Thank you, Ed.
Next item is item 7D, discussion of the establishment of a Parks Committee.
Yes. We've had a lot of discussions throughout several council meetings and such about the condition of parks, cleanup of parks, and as you all know, DPW does the best that they can with the staff that they have and the hours that they have available. So with that, some of us had talked about forming a parks committee with having one council person on it, and then the rest would be citizens, and they would meet to try and form cleanups within the parks, just basic cleanups that you would do, where we would have set dates instead of everybody trying to go about and do things scattered. If they could set up, specific plans, eventually form a Friends of City Parks, and then they could then possibly become a 501c3, where they would be able to apply for grants that the city cannot always apply for because we're a city, but 501c3 organizations can apply for grants through various other entities throughout the country with its corporations and such. So this is one of the reasons I had thought that having a Parks Committee would be good. With that, I had asked Mayor Pro Tem Miller to actually meet with 2 other council people and just come up with some ideas what they thought some parks, their discussion and suggestions about neighborhood parks, the Rouge River ribbons that run through the community. And so I've got a list, I've given it out to the council members. I'd be happy to share it with any of you out there. But this is just at least a starting point that you could start from. So what I'm asking is that if the council would agree to go forward and set up a park committee, and then I would ask residents out there who always voice concern about the parks, then this gives you an opportunity to fill out an application and get selected to serve on the park committee. You're more or less putting your feet to work and your brains and coming up with new ideas for our parks. You would be able to seek advice from Ed Queen and our Park and Rec department. He has already met with several people before, but it seems like in the past when we've had several people come up here and say they're going to volunteer to lead cleanups and such, nothing ever happens. It just sort of dies. So this way I think it would give us a little bit more credence to move forward. So I will now leave it to the, yes.
So you're asking for one council person to be on this committee, and then it'll be made up
of residents, yes.
I nominate Ryan Gabriel.
Councilman Gabriel. First we have to form the committee.
Madam Mayor.
So, yes.
As the council person to form
yes,
the committee.
yes, okay.
That's what you just
yes,
said.
yes.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I make a motion, but that we establish a Parks Commission, because a committee can be out according to the ordinance, can be people from outside of the city. Commission has to be residents of the city. I would recommend that it be called a Parks Commission. If we're going to do it by ordinance, I would assume we are, right?
Well, I mean, at one point in time, we've repealed all of the
Right,
parks. So
right.
I mean,
we're
putting it
committees,
back
yeah.
in.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't answer that question this
Okay.
time.
Can we have the city clerk
Yes.
look and find out whether it should be a commission or a committee?
Absolutely.
And give us
Fair
some
enough.
draft language for the next,
But I
as
would
long
al-
as the council agrees to.
Yes, but I would also recommend that the council person that is a part of this is to be a liaison only,
Right, yes.
not a voting member.
Right, but I would like them to really be dedicated and not just in name only.
For sure. So I make the motion that we establish a Parks Committee / Commission, depending what the city clerk tells us is appropriate, with a council liaison to be named after this, I guess.
Well, you never let anybody support mine. What I asked for, it just got.
Well, I said we'll wait to form this first, then you can submit his name. Unless somebody,
I don't know. I just didn't know. I just was unclear.
Go ahead with this, and I'll second.
Huh? Go ahead with this, and then we'll second that. Okay.
we're gonna vote on Councilman Sanders' motion.
There's not a
Sec-
support, though.
second.
I support.
My only concern is, I don't think there should be an alternate as to a commission and a committee. I think we should know ahead of time whether we're establishing a committee.
We're
versus-
asking the city clerk to look,
Okay.
that's what we're asking.
Okay,
The city
great.
clerk to give us direction.
So not to
Okay.
actually establish it,
Right,
just seeking
right,
direction.
right,
Okay,
yes,
good.
okay.
Thank you.
Yes, okay.
Could I
Yes.
ask how many
Yes.
members would be on this?
I would think 9,
7 or 9.
7 or 9.
Do you have a recommendation, one way or the other? I'll put it in the motion.
No, well, we'll wait till that comes up. Okay. All right.
I just was curious.
Yeah, okay. All right, any other questions? No, okay. All in favor? Oh, yes.
In the last meeting, we talked about the downtown cleanup, and I asked about the other areas. You'd made the comment that we could do that ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So in District 5, we've been cleaning the parks ourselves in the last couple of weeks.
Good,
I don't
I'm
know
glad.
that we need 9 people in a management role to delegate how that's done.
I'm just throwing out that number. It's not in stone.
7, it
Yeah.
just seems this is something people can get up and do.
Yeah.
You live in an area, you can clean the area. We don't necessarily need people to tell us to do it.
Well, it seems like we might need people to coordinate the volunteers.
Perhaps,
So-
for the downtown area.
And then other things that they can look into as far as fundraising and getting funds for different areas within our parks to add things.
Yeah, really the only problem we've had is what to do with all the trash.
Mhm.
We bag it all up, and where do we put it? But
Well, then you need to talk with Ed Queen, and he can tell you where to place it. You need to coordinate. That's the thing. You need to coordinate with Ed Queen, because his men will come along and pick them up if he knows where they're at. So there's communication involved there.
great.
So,
Talked to a couple businesses, and they volunteered at the dumpsters. We'll talk to Ed next time.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to reiterate and add to what you had
Mhm.
said. I agree with what you had said as far as having one council member and then the citizens,
Yes.
to be part of this committee. But let them know that it's, volunteer.
Right.
And it's, the things they'll be doing is picking up the trash, raking leaves, and things of that nature, picking up any limbs or twigs or things in the different various parks
Mhm.
that have the larger trees. So anything other than beyond that. So,
Right.
But like Mr. Clearman had just mentioned, in any of the parks that anybody does any cleanup, if you just contact the DPW and let us know, hey, I just cleaned up in the park, usually the trash can be set out at the closest spot to the road of those parks that are adjacent to the road there.
Okay.
And then when they contact us, we always come and we'll pick up any bags of leaves, trash, anything that they've done. But again, like you said, it takes communication and coordination.
Right.
And not just, making an assumption that
Right.
we know that they've done some cleanup.
Okay, do you prefer they use regular garbage, trash bags, or the brown bags?
For the trash,
Okay.
brown bags for the leaves and the
okay.
compost, just like you would
Compost.
your normal composting.
Okay, all right then.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm getting confused about what we're asking here. I thought this committee was supposed to come up with some recommendations to this council on what kind of park system they want in the city of Wayne, and not a cleanup committee.
Well, that's one of the
Okay.
things
And
that
that's
you
just-
could,
that's just
yeah,
a
no, that's,
small
once
piece of
we
it.
get.
But the big
yes.
picture of it all, the whole park system, the
Yeah.
whole vision.
Yes.
And some guidance and direction of what this community wants as from their parks.
Correct. Well, the cleanup part of it that you're talking about, that is what the committee will be able to do, because anything else, like I discussed in the parks presentation, is there's liability. We have employees that are currently getting ready to go to a class to become inspectors of the park equipment. We do have other things that we're already looking at. The question was asked, I'll bring it up right now, that about the grants. Somebody had asked, we have 2 grants currently we're sitting on right now. One of them expires in September, but we're already looking forward to do some things with that grant. I talked about roofing some of the pavilions and things of that nature. And then we have another grant that won't expire for another year or so, year and a half. So we are looking forward as far as what we can do with those grants to do some of the other things in the parks to make them look a little nicer. Some of those things we're already on top of this as far as, but the manpower that we are requiring, we would need more manpower as far as employees that would be hired to do the other types of work that are required by contracted, union guys that sometimes requires heavy equipment. We already have 2 or 3 pavilions we're thinking of demolishing because the condition of them is beyond anything that we would want to spend the money or dump money into in certain parks where we feel that they're just set back so far that nobody really visits them. The roofs are falling apart, the concrete pads that are there are busted up, and there's issues with all that. So to pour all that and redo all these things, we don't have the money for those things. So we are already looking at those things to use up some of this grant money to take care of some of those things, to clean it up a little bit and and do some of those things in the park. So so the committee would be for just kind of cleaning up the parks, basically a cleanup committee, and then notifying us when those things are done, and then we still are taking care of the bare minimum of emptying the trash, the lawn mowing contracts, snow removal contracts, things like that are taken care of by contractors. So.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So
the next item then is item 7E.
John had a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. John's motion. Okay, it was to have nominate or put Ryan Gabriel as the
liaison for the council. Yes.
And I'll support it.
I just think he'd do a great job.
Ryan, do.
I would. I'm honored that I'd be nominated for that. I'm going to have to respectfully decline due to I feel there's a better candidate for this. Mayor Pro Tem Miller has been taking charge and really went in depth and really took this initiative on full force. And I feel Mayor Pro Tem Miller would be a much better fit than I am due to his knowledge and research.
Okay. Okay.
Well, you can have a motion and second, but if the nominator does not accept the nomination, then it can't go forward.
Okay. All right then. So, do you wish to? Anybody wish to nominate Mayor Pro Tem Miller, or do you want to wait until after the committee's been formed, or we decide what we're going to do?
I would rather. I'll be honest with you. This is not exactly what I anticipated, and I would prefer to just hold off on this.
On your name being nominated?
Correct.
Okay. All right then. Okay. So, all in favor of the commission? We voted on that. Okay. All right then.
So then this motion won't.
Dies.
Forward.
Yeah.
Dies. All right.
Thank you, Councilman Racy and Porter.
Okay. Item 7E is to approve a professional service agreement with HydroCorp for the administration of our cross-connection backflow prevention program for an amount not to exceed $12,168 to be paid from the water budget.
Move approval. Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Racy. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
This is item 7F. This is to approve Budget Amendment 2018-05 in the amount of $1,860,490.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Webster. Any questions for Katie? Yes. Yes.
Go ahead.
Councilman Gabriel?
Just for the audience, I would like to have Ms. Sample provide a quick background as to what we're doing and why?
Sure.
So for this budget amendment, this has to do with the LED lighting. We have a grant through the state for $347,759, and so we're adding that to the budget because it wasn't already in there, and that is covering a bill from DTE for the LED lighting that was $405,425. So the grant didn't cover the full amount, it only covered part of it, but a big chunk of it.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Ms. Samples, or I guess if I could direct to the city manager. The DTE representative sat out there when they came the first time and the second time, says this won't cost you anything.
Right.
Oh, this ain't gonna, not your money. Now they're overbuilt, not overbuilt. I consider it an overbill, but they're billing us more than what the grant. They knew what the grant was. Why are we on the hook for some minuscule amount when you consider municipal funding? But why are we on the hook for this when they knew what the totality of the project was? They are the ones who continue to, and I'm not suggesting that their continued work out here is what added to the cost of the project, but they knew, and this quite frankly ticks me off.
Actually, it is a zero amount. I think Ms. Sample may have misunderstood Lori. Actually, the 347 is covered. The 405, the remainder is covered through credits.
That's what I
Okay, yes, in the first.
That's what we had talked about,
Okay,
yes.
good.
Yep. So I apologize, Katie,
Okay,
that
I
you
didn't know
share
about
that.
the credits.
Yeah, no, that should come out to a zero balance, actually, and that is through credits.
Was the credits were supposed to be, this wasn't supposed to be paid for by the first year's credits, were they not? They were supposed to be totality.
Correct, right. It's based on the savings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Did you have anything to add?
Actually, the credits, then there's actually a balance that we actually made some money, so it's actually, there should be in the positive, actually.
Yes. Correct. Okay. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. Okay. It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller and supported by Councilman Webster. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item 7G. This is to approve a professional service agreement with Congress Collections for collection of past due miscellaneous receivables.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Webster. Any questions for Katie? Yes. Katie?
Ms. Samples, I know that in the past we've had a collection agency for bills at the fire department, or like insurance or claims or that sort of thing. Is this company going to be handling that as well? Are we consolidating that, or is it going to be separate?
I don't know of a collection agency with the fire department. We have a biller.
A biller, yes.
So this is different.
Okay.
So they're still gonna bill the medical billing for fire. This collection agency will be for the miscellaneous receivables such as accident damage. If someone hits a light pole and we send them a bill and they don't pay it for a pretty long time, we'll send it there. So we have some old bills, and also if they were driving under the influence, we bill them for any city time on that as well.
How much are we trying to collect total?
Currently, what's over 120 days is $71,000.
Is there any more than 120 days?
Yeah, the total complete in our miscellaneous receivables is $82,900.
That's pretty good. And generally speaking, it's just for the same things that you spoke of as far as those sorts of things, or the interdepartmental collections?
No, it's only those things that I'm looking at.
Thank you very much.
Those two things.
It's a good idea.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Explain the receivables again. For what items? DUIs, hitting a light pole, and what else?
Any kind of damage to city property, such as hitting a light pole.
Fire hydrant.
Yeah, Ed's the one that bills it, so.
Anything where they damage any city property, you want to collect money from the.
And how much? When does this take place? After 120 days that you haven't got any payment? Is that what you said?
We have quite a few invoices over 120 days right now that
Is that
I
when
would.
it starts?
Well, that's when I would definitely want to send these, but we may start sending them sooner once we start working with this company.
So we don't have any written language that if you don't pay your bill in 90 days, then we hire this company to do it?
No, we've never had a collection agency for this before.
Well, we don't have anything in writing.
We will.
We will, though.
We will.
We will.
Okay,
Yep.
now Ed Queen, he's got a job at the DPW, so he just has to send his stuff over to the finance place where they keep track of the stuff, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We're over the money, keep our piggy bank here, okay? Now, so how much do they get based upon a, let's say, $1,000? How much does this company get? What do you pay them?
I have some examples.
Yes.
One of the bills for an accident is $5,723.22. If the collection agency collects this, their fee that they would take from the payment they receive would be $1,602 if it's at the low rate of the 28%. And if it's at the higher rate, if they have to go through legal or do skip tracing, then their fee would be $2,289. And what the city would receive with those two different rates would be $4,120 to $3,433, depending on where it is on the scale. But one thing to keep in mind, even with these fees, is that these are bills that we would probably otherwise end up writing off,
right,
because they were uncollectible.
And if I may, Mayor, also.
One moment.
Just to add to Katie's response, if you don't mind, Mr. Osborne. We also have exercised, this is after we've looked for insurance companies.
Right.
So what people don't realize is the first avenue that we take in trying to recover this money is auto insurance, right? But unfortunately nowadays the number of people that I see, especially in the court, driving without insurance period is on the rise. So these are cases where we've already looked to an auto insurance coverage claim to see if they would cover the claim itself, which oftentimes if they do, as long as the person has insurance. And then if the person is charged with a crime, such as an OWI case, depending on the amount of damage, our district court also has the ability to order restitution as part of the criminal charge. So on a DUI where you hit a fire hydrant, let's say it's a $1,200 bill, the court can order that amount of restitution. There does come a point, though, where the damages get so high where it can't be handled by the district court on a restitution matter. So we've already looked into whether or not we can get it via restitution at the court and whether or not there's an insurance company in order to even get to the point where we would employ a collection agency at the 28% and 40% rates. I hope we have, and if we haven't, we need to, but I'm pretty sure we have.
Well, whatever your contract arrives at, I would just like to see a timely contract, like if you're 90 days out, then you're in arrears, who doesn't pay it. And the main question I had, Ms. Mayor, was, it's on a recording, I'll bring it to you one day, is we researched another city manager just prior to you coming. We're in a deficit of amount of $30,000 on unpaid water bills. Now, the finance...
Can I ask, this is totally off of this subject matter.
No, it's in the subject because it's receivable.
No, it's not. It's not.
Mr.
It's not, Mr. Osborne, because water bills are then put on your tax bill. That is not included. Any of those bills that can be put on a person's taxes are not included as collectible under this.
I just since this is a professional service collection company, I just wonder. Hold it, please, ma'am.
Mr. Osborne.
I just wondered. Please do not interrupt.
I've answered you, Mr.
No,
Osborne.
you didn't answer me.
Yes, I did.
I was saying, I wondered if the water bills could be also handled by this company when we don't get any payment from it, because we just let them pile up here and then we send them downtown, then they go on your taxes. Wouldn't it be nice to retrieve some of the money within the 120-day period when people don't pay over $30,000 here in the city of Wayne? They don't pay for it, so, but we're going to wait a year?
Yes, okay.
Mayor.
Isn't it better to have some money in the pocket?
I've got a couple questions, and I'll just respond to that.
You're welcome.
The county makes the city whole, so we get paid on everything. So it would be stupid on our part to do something like that, because we would actually lose money doing something like that. However, could you please also look into the Dragon Head? There was a judgment that was done by the court, and see if there was any money paid, because we still don't have a head out there.
Good point.
And maybe we can get that head, get the money towards that. That'd be great.
City property.
Yep. Thank you.
I'll ask Ed about that.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Katie. Do we have any administrative reports?
Yeah, just a few questions from the last meeting with regards to audience questions, resident questions, I'm sorry. From the last council meeting, there was a question about the Veterans Memorial. Buildings and Engineering has received plans from the consultant. They're 95% complete, but due to the challenges to support the tower, the estimate far exceeds what we've raised. So we have to get back together and regroup on next steps. So I apologize, this has taken some time. We kind of fell behind. We were hoping that maybe by spring we could start something new. But I do see that there's, some recommendations even on the parks list for something different. So maybe that's something that the group can talk about as well and get some
Appreciate
feedback.
that.
Absolutely. Because it may not be affordable to do what we want to do. Nothing is, right? The appraisal on HYPE, I know that there's been questions about that. The city's discussing future options for the building with HYPE. It's taken a little bit of time, but as we have more information, we'll share it with the city council in upcoming weeks, and then obviously the public, once our due diligence is performed and the council has information moving forward. There was a question about the grant in the ambulance. The city received the grant for the new ambulance from the state. The question was how much above the 190,968 will the city need to come up with? It sounds like approximately, from what the fire department has told me, is about $7,000 to $8,000. And the city is currently working on a donor for those funds. Is confident we'll receive this donation. So we actually did pretty well on that. There was a question about who handles the city's Facebook page. I do. I am the dedicated Chief Information Officer for the city. During the last council meeting, it was asked how much we pay for GLWA, which is Great Lakes Water Authority, what we pay them for water purchased. Katie, thank you for providing the answer to this question. Our last audit shows we paid $2,682,457 for water in FY 2017.
How much was that?
$2,682,457. That is millions. For FY 2018, we are budgeted to spend $2,840,845 in water purchases, and so far we've spent $1,677,726 through February of 18. The last item is, this was actually kind of ending on a good note. I received a really nice email from Epic Property Management LLC, and I'm sorry the fire department's not here, but I just wanted to share it because it really is quite moving. It says, "Hi Lisa, on March 21st we had a fire at an apartment building we own in Wayne located at 3670 South John Hicks Road. And it ended up displacing 18 of our residents temporarily and 12 of them permanently. Thankfully, no one was hurt. The reason I'm writing you is because I wanted to make you aware of the excellent response we received from the entire Wayne Fire Department, and specifically the fire chief, or the Deputy Fire Chief, Jeremy Schneider. It was an extremely volatile and chaotic time for our residents and our staff, but Jeremy and his team did an excellent job to ensure everyone was safe and informed. We all expect the fire department to put out a fire, but the level of service beyond that was absolutely amazing. They did so much more than anyone expected to ease the difficulty of this entire situation. We are extremely thankful for the response we received. You have a wonderful team of true professionals in your city. Sincerely, Joshua K. Sterling, Epic Property Management, LLC." Yeah. I just wanted to share that with you because I know that the fire department, when that happened, I know that obviously they showed incredible concern for these residents, and and every day our police and our fire departments put their lives in danger. And I just felt that these letters it was moving. And I just want to, if Mr. Sterling does see this, I just want to say thank you for sending this along. I think it means a lot to all of our departments when we receive letters like this. So.
And you shared that with the fire department?
No, I got it just before the council meeting, so I forwarded it to them and said I was going to read it tonight.
Okay.
So
thank you.
That'll conclude my report this evening. Thank you.
Okay.
The next item is citizens' comments or requests on items not on the agenda. Citizens are to limit their comments or requests to 3 minutes. The City Council asks that if you do have a question or concern, to bring it to the attention of the appropriate departments whenever possible. If you feel that the matter has not been resolved satisfactorily, you are encouraged to bring it to the attention of the city manager, and if still not resolved satisfactorily, to the mayor and the city council. The mayor, the city council, and the department heads may not respond to questions at the meeting, but will respond by the next council meeting or as soon as possible once they've looked into the matter.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience with questions or concerns? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Alfred Brock. I live on John Hicks Road here in the city of Wayne. I would like to afford some thanks, please, to Councilman Porter and Mayor Rowe. About 2 months ago, the Wayne Youth Services, which does a great job here in the city of Wayne, held a drug awareness program in the evening, and they were training other young children and they were training adults. And I understand that the mayor stopped by prior to my arrival, and I saw Mr. Porter while I was there. Now, last night I was working with the Families Against Narcotics chapter Northwest Wayne over here in Canton, and attending there was Judge Mack, because she's a member of the board, but she was also there last night, and the good chief of police joined us as well, and I was so happy to see them there and their support. And what I would like to do is invite everyone in the community to the next meeting, which is going to take place on May 7th at the Life Church Annex in Canton between 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. on May 7th. Now, I'll publicize that information on social media, etc., and hopefully through the local newspapers. I just wanted to let you know what's going to happen. There's going to be a judicial panel, and they're going to have District Court Judges Mark McConnell from Westland, Judge Kathleen McCann from Livonia, Judge Jim Placus from Plymouth, Canton, Northville, and Laura Mack, Judge Laura Mack from Wayne, will be sharing their perspectives on addiction and the opioid epidemic from the bench and the problems that they have in helping individuals with this difficulty. So I invite everybody to join us so we can learn more and battle this scourge. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, one question. I'm sorry, Mr. Brock. What time does FAN start?
6:30.
6:30. Okay.
It ends at 8:30 p.m.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you. Yes, it does exist. It's about an hour drive from here. And I managed to get there and back. I had my hand up during the administration report. Mayor, at the last council meeting, you sort of demanded that I go out, step out into the hall with the owner and CEO of Hype.
Oh, yes.
Through the chair, and I'm to the city manager and city attorney, and I know she says she works at the behest of the council, so we're not going to go there. I just want to clarify, yes or no, that Mark Blackwell cannot enforce the contract. It's up to the council, city manager, and the city attorney. I can't tell Mr. Syed, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. So anyways, moving on, it was brought up about the library proposal. I just want people to understand that we're going to have a plate full before us with different tax proposals this year. The Wayne County Executive has presented a 20-year regional transit proposal that would require voters to approve a $5.4 billion tax later this year. In addition, we have the Wayne Library asking for $1 million. Plus, there's possibly going to be a ballot proposal for the Wayne Westland School District. I myself, and you know I'm one of those negative noise people, I believe we are taxed enough. And I want to say this because of the volatileness, recent council meetings and everything. Just think of this, and I hate to use this person to quote, but he said, the best way to take control over a people and control them utterly is to take a little of their freedom at a time, to erode rights by 1,000 tiny and almost imperceptible reductions. In this way, the people will not see those rights and freedoms being removed until past the point at which these changes cannot be reversed. And that was Adolf Hitler.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. Anyone else?
Osborne, from the same city. I would like to address, let's start happy note. Dialing the DPW office, and you get a lady named Pat over there. She's to be commended on her service. Multitasking, taking care of everything from dog bow wows. I had a deer. Well, and she took care of that problem because she takes care of quite a few things. DPW, you name it. So she's a great quality that they have over there. It's a shame that you turn the door at 1 o'clock. Because that's a great employee that you have over there doing a lot for everybody in the city. We hear this word liability used a lot. Don't volunteer to mow the parks, liability. I bring this up, and I also talk to the chief, the fire chief, and our deputy chief, Jeremy Snyder. You have the intersections of Vinoy and Michigan Avenue. It's a multi-crossing for the city of Wayne, city of Westland, city of Inkster, city of Garden City. And these rigs, you're confused, are responding, lights and sirens blowing the exit. Okay, if there's an incident over there, we don't know which truck caused it because our Wayne truck does not have the name Wayne on it. Mr. Schneider, Chief Schneider told me they're broke, they can't do it. Now out of this $8,000 that you stripped off our fire trucks to try and get this authority on there, if you rip the signs off, you can rip the signs back on and get a hot dog benefit. Start putting the names on our rigs to create less liability and see which fire trucks are coming in there. Count them. We have many. And the other thing, I'd like to park a car on Thursday, but the gates were down, and I think the question was asked by Councilman Gabriel, is this open 24/7? And somebody answered up here, yes, sir. That garage up there that we're renting out there to Mark Chevrolet and the other gentleman, open 24/7. Well, let you know at 7 o'clock gates are down. So spin that back through. Gates down. 7. Thank you.
Will the city manager give us the hours of the garage? Thank you.
24/7.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
They were closed because the library's closed.
Well, we'll have her give us the information. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Yes, Mrs. Brock.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. As you know, I started Wayne Rocks last year. It was a very good success. People have been asking me about doing the free kids paint. We are trying to work and secure a location for that this year. Once that's done, I will post that on Facebook. Yes, we will do Rock and Read in Gowdy Park again. We're looking for different people to read to the children. Normally, I had it between 17 and 30 kids would come out. So when they come out, they get to read a story, they get a popsicle or cookie, some kind of treat, and a free rock and paintbrush to go. On April 25th, Wayne Rocks will be sponsoring a table with Healthy Wayne. We will be giving out pre-painted rocks to every walker to take along with them on their walk to hide for someone to find. At the end of the walk, we will allow the walkers to take unpainted rocks and a free paintbrush to continue the movement of Wayne Rocks. We hope to see you all there in the community, and all members of council, even if you stop by and say hi, we'd like to see you. And know that Wayne Rocks is not going anywhere. It's a momentum. People all winter long was begging. I mean, and I still encourage during the winter to hide them in the store, hide them on the ledge, anywhere to keep that going. And they did, and we continue to see the happiness grow throughout Wayne. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. All right then. Next item.
Is item 9, items for the next agenda.
Wish of council?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I have 2 things I'd like to add.
Well, Oh, that's right, I forgot, yes, okay. Items, yes.
So the first thing I'd like to look at is the addition of Saturday hours for the recycling center. I know it was something discussed in the budget meeting and through the city manager. If you could refresh our memory on what the cost would be of having it open one Saturday.
Yep. Can you, yes.
I had, Ed actually looked into this, and it would cost just around over $6,000. And that most of that cost would not come from, we would have to pay somebody overtime to be there from the department, but majority of the cost would come from the extra pull that they would, that the company Republic would have to do. If the recycling, he's estimating that the recycling would go up, so we just would have to empty another bin. It would be an extra pull. So it'd be about $6,000 to start out. And I think, Ed, if I'm not mistaken, if we did it every Saturday, it'd be closer to $30,000.
Yeah, I can't remember.
27,000 something. Yeah, if we did it every single Saturday, and that would include extra polls and staffing. So if that's the wish of council. No, that would be for, was that for annually?
Annually, and we
yeah,
saved
6,000 annually too.
17,000 just from eliminating one of the poles of the dumpsters. So we're trying to save some money. You know, again, we don't want to, in my opinion, turn around and use our savings and use that up just to, you know, have it open on a Saturday. I mean, there is a cost in it, but Lisa commented, right? So,
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Point of order, if we could have this on the next agenda.
That's what Councilman.
We're having discussion.
Yeah, that's what Councilman Webster has asked.
I understand,
yes.
but we're having discussion on it now.
Okay.
And then my second item would be to look into adjusting the hours for City Hall to be open later on certain days. My suggestion to that would be to be open later on the days of council meetings, so the first and third Tuesdays.
Okay. Okay.
So
you could give us a
So here would
hours for business.
Yes.
So my suggestion would be to be open from 1 to 7:30 on the first and third Tuesdays to give those that work a chance to actually get in here, pay water bills, ask questions, because that is a big concern of people within the city that they can't get up here during the normal, 9 to 4 hours, 10 to 4?
10 to 4, yeah.
So.
Okay. If you could look into that cost and if it's even possible to do because of contracts and such like that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else? No? Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Correct me if it's not the correct place, but also in that research, can you also see how it would affect employee morale coming in later and having the breakup in shift?
Okay.
How are you going to report that?
Ask the employees.
Okay. All right, anyone else? No? Okay. Next item.
It's item 10, consent calendar. There's one item before you.
I move as an exception, but I have a question.
Well,
right,
Councilman Racy.
Go ahead.
Yes.
I missed it in the DDA meeting. My last name's spelled wrong at the beginning. Just if we could, just so that you're just aware.
Make the correction.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, Councilman Sanders moved without exception. Is there support with the correction?
I have a question as well.
Yes. Okay. Is there support?
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem supported. All right. We have one correction: the spelling of Councilman Racy's name. And your question?
What is the purpose of us? Is the DDA not a separate entity from the city?
It's like quasi, I'd say, isn't it, City Attorney?
It's well, it functions in part with the cities,
Right.
but it is a separate entity with regard to controlling DDA funds.
That's right.
So that's why we have to approve the agenda items?
Agenda items
No.
or the minutes?
I mean the minutes. I'm
Yes.
sorry, the minutes.
Yes, correct, yeah.
So could I ask, if we're the governing body of the DDA, specifically, can I ask for the DDA to give us a report as far as what these bills that were paid were, what they were? Because it's pretty magnanimous as far as ratified payment of bills as presented packet. If we're getting this whole recitals of as far as the Downtown Development Authority and and this sort of the resolution, shouldn't we get the nature of the business they're doing? What they're paying, why they're paying it?
I will say, as sitting on the board, all these bills that we approve every month are just the water bills that are billed to the DDA.
Great.
That's.
Can we have that?
Yep.
Thank you. And I understand that you know that because you sit on the DDA.
Yes.
We don't.
Yeah. No, but I'm at least answering your question now. Okay, let's see, consent, okay, it's been moved and supported with the correction of the spelling of the last name and the request for the bills. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, comments from members of the city council. Oops, sorry. We'll start with Councilman Sanders.
Nothing.
Okay. Councilman Gabriel?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing tonight.
Okay. And Councilman Porter?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Okay. And Councilman Webster?
Just one thing tonight, Madam Mayor. Mr. Blackwell brought up something in terms of a ballot proposal that's going to be on concerning the Wayne Westland schools. I've been following a little bit. I'm not sure how much everyone else knows about it, so I just want to kind of give you a brief overview of what they're looking to do and what the cost savings will be. They're looking pretty much at two options. And this is to reconfigure how the schools are currently set up. So option one would be going back to the K through 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12. What would result in this option would be 2 less elementary schools and 1 less upper or middle school. The cost savings for this would be somewhere around $1.8 million. Now option 2 would be to go to a K through 8 and a 9 through 12 model with additions to 11 of the current elementary schools to support the influx of children that would be in those areas, and taking away 4 upper or middle schools. And the cost savings for this would be somewhere around $2.7 million. You know, even if you don't have kids, this is something very important to be looking at because this is going to have a big impact on them one way or another. So I would just suggest if you go to the Wayne Westland website, you can find all this information on here. It actually is called the Wayne Westland Community Schools Preliminary Bond Program Analysis and Choice Work Configuration. So I would just suggest everybody goes and looks at it and, you know, see what they're looking for and come to your own conclusion on how you would like to vote on it.
Okay. Thank you. And Councilman Racy?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things tonight. First thing, I too want to thank our fire department. The day that we had that apartment fire, they just got they got it handed to them that day. Dealing with that fire with the 12 units that got messed up or destroyed, and then having a garage fire later in the evening, it was a long day for them. You know, without sleep, just to have to do that and have to go back out. But one of the things that I had heard from some people that were displaced from that letter, that is true. Our firefighters went above and beyond to the point that they were helping get out clothes for people and doing things that other fire departments wouldn't do. They were really making sure that our residents were taken care of in a horrible situation. And I would like to send a thank you from our council over to them to just what a you know, that's just above and beyond. And just to let them know that the council just thinks that that's that we appreciate what they did in that, because it's not not a normal day to have to deal with that. And I get it that there's a lot, you know, that's what they do, but they really did display Wayne pride that day, and their pride for their community, and I appreciate it personally. The second thing I wanted to share is Councilman Webster and I last week had the opportunity to go over to Roosevelt McGrath and got to read to students over there. Now, Councilman Webster got to read Papa Snores, and that was pretty great to hear him with all his snoring sounds. But and then I had the opportunity to read Miracle Mud, the Lena Blackburn story about how mud was put onto baseballs, and that's why they're darker for for the batters to hit, and they worked with me to change it to the book that I wanted since it was opening day, and I thought I was missing opening day, but they got rained out. But I wanted to have some type of a baseball thing. But the students were great. We got to read in front of approximately 300 students that day, which is a pretty large crowd for going out and reading to kids. But we had a great time, and the schools were very were great. It had to do with March being Reading Month, like you were talking about the last meeting. So we took you up on what you were saying, and went and worked with schools that week. So just thank you to the schools for having us. It was a great time.
That's it?
Yes.
Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Thank you. Just real quick, again, I want to thank our Police Officer of the Year for 2017. Seeing this young man up there, I'll tell you, like I said before, you guys are second to none. And once again, you show it. And we got to do more for you than just say thank you. And another thing is, I just wanted to encourage everybody to get out, participate. We mentioned about the proclamation of Earth Day in Wayne. And there was a reason behind that, because it's just not about Earth Day and the planet. It's also about our community. We've got a cleanup going on the Saturday, April 21st, between 9 and 12. Come out and participate. Okay, this is your community. That whole weekend, we want to try to put the spotlight in this community about the pride that we have for our community. If it is as simple as going out to your curb and sweeping it up, or coming out on Saturday downtown and be with your residents, fellow residents, and show some of that pride that we have for this community, that's what makes the difference. That's what makes the difference in this community, us from other communities. And there's nothing to be ashamed about getting out in front of your house and sweeping up the curb. That shows, when I see other residents doing that, it really makes me feel good knowing that other people that I live with in this community actually care about their neighborhoods. So don't be shy. It's a good thing, and it's even more funner when you're doing with other people that you live with, and we all share in this investment in this community. Come out there and join in. So I just want to encourage you all to come out and let's do this team effort here, like we do every year. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. I just have a few things. I'd just like to remind everybody again, the 3rd annual Healthy Wayne Community Walk, Wednesday, April the 25th. It's going to take place right here at the amphitheater in Gowdy Park. Also, Wayne Memorial Theatrical Guild presents Seussical the Musical, April 26, 27, and 28 at 7 p.m. Tickets are $12. So please try and attend that at Stockmeyer Auditorium. I'm sure it'd be a lot of fun. And then also for seniors, the Kaboom has just been put out. Again, today there was a diabetes prevention program, but tomorrow Cooking Matters. It's focused on diabetes, and that's over at the Hype. If you wish to go, please call 800-543-9355. It's for 6 weeks, and it's from 6 to 8 p.m. Free legal presentations and assistance, Wednesday, April the 11th at 1 p.m. at the Senior Center. Call Nancy to register. And free legal consultation, Thursday, May 17th. So those are just some of the things, but I encourage you to pick up Kaboom. She works hard to get advertisers in it, and she lists all kinds of activities that are going on, especially for the Sometimers travel. It sounds really like a lot of fun. So please look into it. And the other thing is I just need the council people to let me know if you're going to walk in the Memorial Day Parade so I can notify Westland in regards to that. And then also I received an invitation if any council members are interested. It's the Wayne County Community College's 50th anniversary celebration dinner, and it's being held May 1st from 6 to 9 p.m. at Detroit Marriott at the Renaissance Center. Tickets are $150 per person, or a table of 10 for $1,500. So any of those of you who wish to attend, let me know.
What day is May 1st?
$150 for one, or $1,500 for a table
Of 10.
of 10.
Same price.
Same price. They don't give you a discount. Yeah,
What day is May 1st?
Tuesday. And it's a council meeting, so we can't go. But I just
Some
thought
just entice us.
I just thought I'd let
I
you
thought it was
know.
coming out of the city manager's budget.
No, we have no money for that. You pay yourself. And with that, I think I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Webster. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.